I'm 23 and my stepsister Maya is 19. Our parents married when I was 15 and she was 11, so we've lived together for 8 years. After my mom passed away, my dad married her mom. We all live in the house that belonged to my grandparents, which they left to me in their will. Since I was underage, my dad managed it, but the deed is now officially in my name. Maya has always been spoiled. She's never worked, dropped out of community college, and spends her days gaming and shopping with her parents' credit cards. Meanwhile, I'm a senior in computer science at a state university, working part time at a tech repair shop to pay my bills. My laptop was my lifeline. It held 4 years of schoolwork, including my senior capstone project. I had partial cloud backups, but not everything since I couldn't afford premium storage. About 2 months ago, Maya's parents announced their divorce, which wasn't surprising. They'd been fighting for over a year, mostly about money and Maya's behavior. After the news, Maya spiraled. Meltdowns, tantrums, crying fits. It all came to a head last week. While I was at work, she got into a fight with her mom, flew into a rage, and stormed into my room. She grabbed my laptop and threw it down the stairs, completely destroying it. When I got home and found it smashed, I lost it. She cried and claimed it was an accident, blaming her mental health and saying she wasn't thinking clearly. I demanded she replace it, at least $800 for something comparable. But she said she didn't have the money. This from someone who bought a $300 gaming chair last month. She suggested her parents might help since it was part of her emotional breakdown. My boss confirmed the laptop was totaled, including the hard drive. Recovery would be expensive and might not even work. I was devastated. My capstone project, job applications, years of code, gone. When Maya's parents came home, she played the victim, crying about her emotional struggles. Her mom was sympathetic and talked about getting her therapy. My dad looked uncomfortable but said nothing. I explained exactly what happened, how she deliberately threw my laptop down the stairs. Her mom offered to help replace it, but my dad and Maya both hesitated. My dad cited money issues with the divorce. Her mom suggested maybe I could use insurance or ask my school for help, completely missing the point that her daughter destroyed my laptop. I was furious at their indifference, so I said what I'd been holding back. The house is mine now, and I'm reconsidering who I allow to live here. The room went silent. Maya looked confused, but the adults knew exactly what I meant. They've all been living here rent-free because my dad used to manage the property as my guardian. But now I have full ownership and I'm not obligated to house anyone. I told them Maya has 2 weeks to replace my laptop or I'll start exploring my legal options. Maya started sobbing again, saying I was cruel and exploiting her mental health. Her mom accused me of being manipulative. My dad stayed quiet, but I wasn't bluffing. I've looked into the laws in my state and I can give them 30 days notice to vacate if needed. I've put up with Maya's behavior for years, and now she's jeopardized my graduation by destroying something essential to my education. Since then, the house has been tense. Maya's been crying nonstop. Her mom's been giving me dirty looks and making passive-aggressive comments, and my dad's caught in the middle, clearly stressed. I've been trying to redo my work at school computers, but I'm behind and overwhelmed. Maya still hasn't made any effort to replace the laptop, and her parents are offering vague promises with no real action. I feel bad threatening to kick them out during a family crisis, but at the same time, Maya destroyed something that could cost me my future, and no one seems to be taking that seriously. Am I being too harsh? I understand she's struggling with the divorce, but that doesn't give her the right to destroy my property with zero consequences. I've worked too hard to have her emotional outbursts derail my degree. Part of me feels guilty for drawing such a hard line, but another part thinks this might be the only way they actually take me seriously. What should I do? Should I follow through with the eviction if she doesn't replace my laptop, or is there a better way to handle this? Update 1. It's been 3 days since my post and things escalated fast. Thanks to everyone who reassured me I wasn't being unreasonable, I followed through on my ultimatum. 2 days ago, I sat down with Maya's parents and asked for a firm commitment on replacing my laptop. I made it clear I understood their divorce stress, but I have school deadlines and can't wait months. Maya's mom immediately got defensive, saying I was being insensitive to Maya's depression and anxiety. My dad tried to mediate, suggesting a payment plan, but I said I needed a laptop now, not in 6 months. I also pointed out Maya had just ordered an expensive gaming accessory, so clearly money isn't the issue when it benefits her. That's when Maya exploded, screaming that I was being vindictive and trying to make her homeless during the worst time of her life. Her mom accused me of being cruel. I calmly told them Maya made the choice to destroy my property and there needed to be consequences. Then I issued a formal 30-day eviction notice. The room went silent. Maya's mom was shocked. I explained that I had already consulted a lawyer friend and legally had every right to do this. Maya ran off crying. Her mom followed and my dad asked to talk privately. He said he understood why I was upset but felt I was going too far. I told him Maya's mental health wasn't an excuse to dodge accountability, especially after threatening my graduation. Unless she immediately replaced the laptop and accepted full responsibility, the eviction would stand. Since then, the house has been tense. Maya has constant crying fits. Her mom makes passive-aggressive remarks and my dad's clearly stressed. Yesterday, Maya's mom called my aunt to complain. My aunt called me and surprisingly took my side. She said Maya's been spoiled too long and it's time she faced real consequences. So, I'm standing firm. I've been patient for years, but Maya destroyed something crucial to my future. Unless she makes it right, they're out in 30 days. Update 2. Wow, I honestly didn't expect things to spiral this fast. It's only been 3 days since my last update, but it feels like a whole storm hit and passed through. So here's what happened. I found out Maya's mom went behind my back and secretly contacted a lawyer to try and challenge my ownership of the house. I couldn't believe it at first. She really thought she could take it from me. Her angle was that I was too young when I inherited it, so maybe there was some legal loophole she could use. But it gets worse. She told the lawyer a whole bunch of lies. She claimed my dad had actually paid for the house, that I was illegally kicking them out, and even said I was mentally unstable. I only found out because the lawyer decided to call me directly. I sent him all the documents, the deed, the will from my grandparents, everything. About an hour later, he called me back and said there was no doubt the house was legally mine and that she had no case at all. But then he told me something that seriously scared me. She had also asked about filing for emergency guardianship over me. She was trying to have me declared mentally unfit so she could take over control of the house herself. That part honestly left me shaken. I just couldn't wrap my head around how someone could stoop that low, try to steal a home from me by basically claiming I was too unstable to take care of myself. It was terrifying. I confronted them right after that. Maya's mom totally lost it. She started screaming at me, saying I was destroying their lives and that Maya was suicidal because of me. She tried turning the guilt up to 100, saying if anything happened to Maya, it would be my fault. At that point, my dad finally stepped in. He was horrified when he heard what she had done, and for once, he actually stood up to her. He told her straight up that she had crossed a serious line. And that's when Maya dropped another bomb. She admitted that she had been the one encouraging her mom to go to a lawyer. She thought that maybe if they argued I was too young when I got the house, they could find a way to take it from me. That was it for me. I told them I was done being nice. The 30-day notice, revoked. They had to leave immediately or I'd file for an emergency eviction. Maya's mom threatened to call the cops, but I told her to go right ahead. I had everything documented. I reminded her that making false police reports is actually a crime, and I wouldn't hesitate to press charges if she tried it. The very next day, Maya's mom packed her things and left. She went to stay with her sister. Maya didn't go with her, probably because her aunt had actual rules she doesn't want to deal with. So now it's just me, my dad, and Maya in the house. Things are quieter, I guess. My dad's been really apologetic and he's actively looking for a new place to move into. Maya is sulking most of the time, but at least she's not throwing tantrums like before. As for me, I'm still standing my ground. I told her she either replaces my laptop or she needs to leave too. I'm completely drained, but at the same time, I feel a lot more clear-headed. I'm proud I didn't cave, and that I stood up for myself even when things got really messy. Update 3. Final update, and honestly, I'm still processing everything that happened. It's been 4 days since my last post, and the situation has completely resolved itself in a way I never expected. So after Maya's mom left, things were tense but calmer. Maya was still sulking around the house and my dad was trying to keep the peace while looking for apartments. I was still standing firm on my laptop replacement demand and I'd started the formal eviction paperwork just in case. Then yesterday morning, Maya came to my room and asked if we could talk. I was expecting another sob story about her mental health or her parents' divorce, but instead, she actually apologized. Like a real apology, not the fake crying manipulation she usually does. She told me that after her mom left, she'd been thinking about everything that happened. She said she realized that destroying my laptop was completely wrong, and that she'd been using her parents' divorce as an excuse to act out. She also admitted that she'd been jealous of me for years because I had my life together while she was struggling. I was pretty skeptical at first because Maya has manipulated situations before. But then she told me something that really surprised me. She'd gotten a job. Apparently, after her mom left, my dad had a serious talk with her about taking responsibility for her actions. He told her that she needed to start acting like an adult, and that meant getting a job and paying for the laptop herself. She'd applied to a bunch of places and got hired at a local retail store. She said she'd been working there for 2 days already and she wanted to set up a payment plan to replace my laptop. She showed me her first paycheck stub and said she could probably have enough money saved up in about 6 weeks. I was impressed that she'd actually gotten a job, but 6 weeks was still too long. I told her I needed a laptop now to finish my senior project. That's when she surprised me again. She said she'd already thought of that. She talked to her mom's sister, who apparently felt bad about everything that had happened. Her aunt had agreed to loan Maya the money for a laptop replacement, and Maya would pay her back with her paychecks. She said she could have a replacement laptop for me by the end of the week. I didn't know what to say. This was completely different from the Maya I'd been dealing with for years. She seemed genuinely remorseful and was actually taking steps to fix what she'd broken. She also told me that she'd been thinking about moving out anyway. She said living in the house was too stressful with all the family drama, and she wanted to get her own place once she'd saved up some money. She asked if I'd be willing to let her stay for a few more months while she saved up for a deposit on an apartment. I told her I'd consider it if she followed through on replacing my laptop and kept her job. She agreed immediately and said she understood that it was my house and my rules. True to her word, she brought me a brand new laptop 2 days later. It was actually better than my old one, and she'd paid extra to have a data recovery service try to get files off my damaged hard drive. They were able to recover about 80% of my work, including most of my senior project. My dad was amazed by the change in Maya's behavior. He said he'd never seen her take responsibility for anything before, and he was proud of how she was handling the situation. He also apologized for his ex-wife's behavior and said he'd be moving out soon to give us both space. So here we are now. Maya's working full-time and actually seems to like having her own money and independence. She's been respectful of house rules, hasn't had any major outbursts. My dad found a small apartment and will be moving out next week. Maya's planning to stay for about 3 more months while she saves up for her own place. I'm cautiously optimistic about this new dynamic. Maya seems to have genuinely learned from this experience, and I'm willing to give her a chance to prove that she's changed. But I'm also keeping my guard up because she's disappointed me before. The best part is that I was able to get back on track with my schoolwork. With most of my files recovered and a new laptop, I should be able to graduate on time. I'm actually ahead of schedule on my senior project now. Looking back, I think this whole situation needed to happen. Maya needed a wake-up call about her behavior, and I needed to learn to stand up for myself. Sometimes you have to be willing to make the hard choices to get people to take you seriously. I'm not sure what the long-term relationship with Maya will look like, but for now, we're in a much better place than we were a few weeks ago. And I learned that sometimes the people who seem the most entitled can actually change when they're forced to face real consequences for their actions. Story 2. Hi, I'm 30, female, currently 7 months pregnant with my first child, going through a divorce. And the whole situation is a mess. I am heartbroken, but also trying to stand strong for my mom, who is the one person who's been by my side my whole life. So, for some context, I was raised by my mom, mostly alone. My dad passed away when I was 7 years old after a terrible car accident. We were not rich or anything, just a regular family. But after losing my dad, things got really hard. My mom was only 32 at the time, suddenly a widow with a young child to take care of and no real savings. I remember how hard she worked, sometimes doing 2 jobs at a time just to make sure we had food and I could go to school. She sacrificed so much, never dated, never remarried. Her entire life was about raising me and giving me the best chance she could. She's always been my biggest supporter. When I got into college, she took on a 3rd part-time job just to help me with my tuition. When I graduated and got my first job, we cried together because it felt like we had both made it. I bought her a small house a few years ago and told her it was finally her turn to relax and enjoy life a little. A couple of years ago, I met my now ex-husband Mark, 34, male. He was charming, successful, kind, and his family seemed close-knit. We dated for about 2 years and then got married. During our dating life, there was never any big issue. He knew how important my mom was to me and seemed to respect that. He even told me once that he admired how close we were and how strong she was. I honestly thought I had found someone who would love me and also be understanding about my mom always being part of my life. Things started to change after the wedding. Little comments would slip out here and there about how often I visited my mom, how often I called her, how she needed to let me go now that I was married. I brushed them off at first. Newlywed adjustments, I thought. Every couple has to learn how to balance family life, right? But it did not stop. He started pushing harder for me to spend more time with his family and less with mine. His parents were not the warmest people, Let's just say that. His mom in particular had this attitude that now that I was married to her son, I needed to focus on being a good wife and putting their family first. It was subtle, but it was there. Mark started echoing that sentiment more and more. Then earlier this year, we found out I was pregnant. It should have been the happiest time of our lives. And at first, it was. He was thrilled. I was thrilled. My mom was over the moon. But soon after, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 3. The news absolutely shattered me. My mom is my rock, my everything. And now she was facing something so terrifying. Of course, I wanted to be there for her, taking her to treatments, helping her around the house, spending as much time with her as I could. This is where things really blew up. Mark was not supportive at all. He started acting like my mom was a burden. He kept saying that she had lived her life and now I had to focus on my own new family. He said I could not have it both ways, that I could not be a full-time daughter and a full-time wife and mother, that I had to choose. I was in shock. This was my mom, the woman who gave up everything for me and who raised me alone after tragedy, who never asked me for a thing. And now when she needed me most, my own husband was asking me to turn my back on her while she was battling cancer. The fights got worse. I tried to explain to him over and over that supporting my mom through this did not mean I loved him or our baby any less. But he did not see it that way. One night he finally gave me a full-blown ultimatum. He said, "You are part of my family now. You need to decide which family you're going to prioritize." He said if I kept running back to my mom, he was not sure he wanted to stay in this marriage. That was it for me. The words just broke something inside me. I looked at him and realized I could not and would not stay married to a man who could be this heartless towards the person who meant the world to me, especially while I was carrying our child. How could I raise a baby in a home where compassion and loyalty was so conditional? The next week I filed for divorce. I packed a bag and went to stay with my mom. She cried when I told her. She blamed herself, of course, which broke my heart even more. I kept telling her over and over that this was not her fault. It was about what kind of person Mark had shown himself to be. And honestly, I felt a weird sense of peace after I filed. It was scary going through a divorce while pregnant, but I knew I was doing the right thing. Mark has been furious. He's tried to guilt me, telling me I am robbing our child of a 2-parent home. His mom called me and left me a nasty voicemail about how selfish I was. But I do not regret it, not one bit. I told him flat out, if you think I'm choosing between my mom and you are right. I choose her. I always will. And this baby, he or she will know that their mom stands by her values. This child will be part of my side of the family, raised to understand compassion, sacrifice, and loyalty. Right now, I am focusing on being there for my mom, who has started chemo. It's rough, but she's fighting hard, and I am preparing for this baby, who will be arriving in just a couple more months. I do not know what the future holds, but I do know this. My child will grow up knowing their grandma, knowing the love that built our little family. So that's my story. I know some people think it's extreme to divorce over this. I know some will say, you should have worked it out, or you owe your husband a chance to adjust. But to me, when someone shows you who they really are in your hardest moments, you believe them. So, AITA? Update 1. Hi, I thought I'd post a little update, and trust me, a lot has happened since then. So first, my mom is responding well to chemo so far. It's been brutal, but her latest scans showed the tumor shrinking. The doctors are cautiously optimistic, having me around to help with everything. Cooking, cleaning, going to appointments, has really helped her spirits too. I feel like I made the right choice 1,000 times over. Now for the wild part. After my original post, the divorce process was moving forward. I had not heard much from Mark for a couple of weeks. Just the usual nasty text from his mom. I thought that was it. And then out of nowhere, Mark's younger sister Sarah reached out to me on Instagram. I almost did not reply, thinking she'd just come at me too. But instead, she apologized. Turns out, Sarah had been reading my post too. She follows some of the same subreddits. She told me she did not know how bad things had gotten between me and Mark, and that she'd always admired how close I was to my mom. She also said she was furious at Mark for giving me that ultimatum because, drumroll, their own mom had done the exact same thing to her when she was dating someone her mom did not approve of. Sarah told me that the entire family dynamic was toxic, and that Mark had basically been raised to believe that their mom should be the center of everyone's life. That once you're married, you drop everything for her family. It suddenly clicked for me. Mark was not just selfish on his own. He had been groomed into this mindset. But honestly, that did not excuse it. I'm still done. Then came the biggest surprise. Sarah offered to testify on my behalf if the divorce got ugly. She said she wanted my baby to grow up away from that toxicity, and she did not want her future niece or nephew being manipulated like Mark had been. I was floored. I never expected an ally from his side, let alone his sister. As of now, the divorce is going through. My baby is healthy and kicking, and my mom is staying strong. And surprisingly, I have gained an unexpected friend in Sarah. We have been texting a lot. Maybe one day this baby will know that some of Dad's side still had a heart. Update 2. Hi, I did not expect to be back here with another update so soon, but wow, life really threw me a curveball. So much has happened in just a few weeks. First, the baby came early. I gave birth to a beautiful, healthy baby girl. Let's call her Emma, at 36 weeks. It was a whirlwind delivery, but thankfully both of us are doing well now. My mom was right there with me the entire time, holding my hand, being the calm voice I needed. I truly do not know how I would have done it without her. And let me tell you, seeing her hold little Emma for the first time after everything she's been through had me in tears. That moment alone made every hard choice worth it. Now, here's where things get messy. Somehow, Mark's mother found out about the birth almost immediately. I had kept things quiet, blocked her on everything, but I guess she has her ways. Within 2 days of Emma's birth, she showed up at the hospital. Not with flowers, not with good wishes, but with a lawyer. Yes, a lawyer. She was trying to serve me papers for grandparent rights because she claimed it was unfair that Emma was being kept from her rightful family. I was completely blindsided. I had not even left the hospital room yet. Can you imagine recovering from birth while a lawyer is knocking at your door on behalf of your ex-mother-in-law? The audacity. Thankfully, the hospital staff were absolute angels. They refused to let her anywhere near me or the baby, and the hospital's legal team gave me resources right away. I contacted my own attorney, and we are prepared to fight it. From what I'm being told, she doesn't have a case, especially since Mark himself has barely contacted me and hasn't even met Emma yet. And the wildest part, Sarah, Mark's sister, is furious about what her mother did. She called me and said she wants to testify again, this time against her own mom. Apparently there's a lot of history with her mother pulling legal stunts to control family members. Sarah said this was the final straw and she's going completely no contact with her mom now. Update 3. So the drama with Mark's mother and her attempt at grandparents' rights fizzled out pretty fast once my lawyer got involved. Turns out her lawyer did not know the full situation. She had not even told him that Mark had not visited the baby or that I had a pending divorce with full custody almost finalized. Once all the facts were out, her case did not even make it past the first hearing. Total waste of time on her part, but I was relieved to shut that door. The biggest surprise? Mark finally surfaced and asked for visitation. At first I was hesitant. After all, this is the man who gave me an ultimatum while my mom was fighting cancer. But after talking to my lawyer and therapist, I agreed to a supervised visit at a neutral location. I wanted to give him a chance, not for his sake, but for Emma's. Well, he showed up looking like he had aged 10 years in a few months, and here's the kicker. He told me his mom's behavior had pushed him to go low contact with her. Apparently, after Sarah went no contact and the grandparent stunt failed, his mother spiraled, blaming him for losing the family. He told me he finally saw how toxic she was and realized he'd been living under her thumb for years. I was shocked, honestly. Not because he did not deserve a wake-up call, but because I never thought he'd admit it. He asked, almost pleaded, if we could work towards co-parenting because he wanted to do better for Emma. Right now, I'm cautiously open to it. We are taking it one step at a time, and he knows I am not rushing into anything. His relationship with Emma will be on her terms when she's older. My priority is still her and my mom. Speaking of which, my mom is doing amazing. Latest scans show her cancer is shrinking significantly. She's still got a long road ahead, but the hope is stronger than ever. Looking back, I have zero regrets. Filing for divorce while pregnant was not easy, but it was necessary. My mom, my daughter, and I are stronger for it. If Mark truly steps up and becomes a good dad, great. If not, Emma will grow up surrounded by love and strength on my side of the family. Update 4. Hi everyone, just a small update. Mark has been keeping to his word so far. We have had 2 more supervised visits with Emma, and he's actually trying. I still have my guard up, but seeing him interact gently with her gives me a little hope that maybe, just maybe, he's serious about changing. He's even started therapy, which Sarah told me was long overdue. Speaking of Sarah, she and I have become close friends through all this. She's been amazing and even helps me with Emma sometimes when I'm exhausted from juggling everything. The biggest and the happiest news, my mom's latest scan showed even more improvement. Her doctor said that she's getting better and we are hopeful she will go into remission. Things genuinely feel all right now, and I'm really hoping they do not get worse. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.